Next speaker is Brenda J. Pepito from the Philippines. Mrs. Pepito is Chief Agriculturist, Agribusiness and Marketing Assistant Division of the Department of Agriculture, Tacloban City, Eastern Visayas, the Philippines. Mrs. Pepito's working experience include procurement unit head at Regional Philippines Development Project Office, as supervisor agriculturist at the Regulatory Division, Chief Designate at the Field Operations Division, Corn Program Regional Coordinator and Regional Focal at the Fields Operations Division, Department of Agriculture, East Visayas. Mrs. Pepito is also an alumnus of World Divine University and University of Philippines at Los Baños. And I would like to invite Mrs. Brenda Pepito to proceed with the presentation on the commercialization of jackfruit in the Philippines. You're on the screen now, Mrs. Pepito.
So that is supposed to be the second version that I would like to present to you is about the tropical fruits that are in the Philippines, both the major ones and the minor. So for the information of everyone, the jackfruit here in the Philippines is considered one of the minor fruit commodity in the Philippines. So we have a duly registered variety of sweet jackfruit in the Philippines. So this is called the EVR sweet. That is why AMAS chose us to participate in this webinar, because we also would like to share with you the EVR sweet jackfruit of the Philippines. Okay, so this is a technology that is being developed by our researchers in Region 8, Eastern Visayas. So, of course, jackfruit Artocarpus heterophyllus, also known as jack tree. Jackfruit, or sometimes simply jack, is a species of tree in the fig, mulberry, and breadfruit family. Actually, it was already mentioned by the earlier resource speaker about this. So, it is a medium-sized evergreen tree up to 20 meters tall and up to 80 centimeters in diameter. So jackfruit here in the Philippines, according to our data, can produce about 100 to 200 fruits in a year, depending on the variety, which is a green or greenish yellow and white. So a well-developed fruit may contain up to 500 seeds. And of course, in the earlier presentation, we know for a fact that seeds can also be used as food when cooked. Then, of course, jackfruit is a long-lived tree with a lifespan of up to 70 years. Next, please. So, as you can see, a grafted EVR sweet jackfruit starts to bear fruits at 3 to 5 years after planting and will reach peak production up to the 7 to 8 years after planting. In 20 to 30 years, the tree would start to diminish its productivity. However, well-maintained trees tend to reach its diminishing production later than less maintained trees. So, meaning to say, if you really maintain the jackfruit, it can bear fruit up to 30 years here in our country. So, warm and humid climates below 1,000 MASL or meters above sea level are the characteristics where jackfruit can grow best here in our country. It has poor cold, drought, and flooding tolerance, but has moderate tolerance to wind and salinity. It favors an annual rainfall of up to 1,500 mm or more without pronounced dry season. Actually here, sir, in Eastern Visayas, our climate here is wet to very wet. So the fruit tree can grow on various types of soil, but it prefers deep, well-drained, alluvial, sandy, or clay loam soils with pH ranging from 6 to 7.5. Next, please. So this is the picture of EVR sweet. Of course, it is duly registered by the national, by the insect with the registration number of 2006 JF5. So it was approved way back 2006. And the originator, of course, is Abuyog Leyte, where our Abuyog experiment station is situated. The characteristic of this EVR sweet variety It ranges at the height of 7 meters. And the growth habit is spreading yung crown niya. Then of course, the fruiting season is on June to August and December to February. Then ang yield niya is 30 to 40 mature fruits. The whole fruit characteristic, usually on the average, it weighs about 12,006.67 grams, or more or less 12 kilograms. The skin characteristic of our Iviac sweet jackfruit is yellowish green. The texture is rough. The thickness is 14.42 mm, and of course it weighs around 2,500 grams. The flesh characteristic, of course, of our Iviac sweet is golden yellow. Then smooth and crispy yung kwan niya, smooth and crispy yung fruit, okay? Then it's very juicy and it does not have any fibers. The aroma of our Iviac sweet is very strong. So if it's due for eating, actually, you can smell the aroma of jackfruit to even as far as 10 meters away or even above that. Normally, if we prepare jackfruit for eating, as soon as you break it, we have lots of our colleagues that will visit our office to see for themselves what the aroma that is so very sweet and very strong, very interesting aroma. So of course, unlike the variety that was presented earlier, based on the TSS, the bricks of our Iviac sweet is around 25.14. So given the flavor is sweet, and of course the thickness of the fruit is 5.38 mm. Next, please. Okay. So I already described the fruit characteristic and the weight. So of course, of the total, like for instance, the average weight of the jackfruit is around 12 kilograms. The edible portion of that is around 42.58%. The latex of our Iviac sweet is moderate. And of course, the fruitlet size is around 40.75 grams. Next, please. The jackfruit in the Philippines is prepared in different product forms. Of course, some of our farmers are selling it as whole jackfruit. It is also being sold on the retail market as fresh and sliced jackfruit. And of course, they are also selling it as the pulp, even frozen. In fact, most of this is being given to our visiting farmers, our visiting employees from other regions. This is our usual gift to them by way of promoting Iviac sweet. It is also being prepared as chopped immature fruit. Just like in the earlier presentation, we are also fond of eating vegetable jackfruit. The immature ones are usually prepared with coconut. Okay. Then we also have dehydrated and vacuum fried jackfruit. It is actually developed by the Visayas State University, here located in Leyte. There is also a product of jackfruit juice, jackfruit tart, jelly, jam, and of course we have. It is also being popularly prepared, no, as a viand, ginataang langka. I made mention earlier. Please, next, please. Okay, the nature and structure of the industry, jackfruit industry here in the Philippines, but specifically here in our region. So the product forms is fresh jackfruit. All provinces, we have 6 provinces in Eastern Visayas region. It produces jackfruit either for ripe or for vegetable purposes. It is in the province of Leyte. Of course, it goes without saying it's in Leyte. That has the significant number of jackfruit being produced, and a few in southern Leyte and summer provinces where large jackfruit planting areas and trading are present. Okay, in major producing areas or municipalities in that, so let's go local for once, no? Let's go local for once because this is where our EVX suite is located. So in major producing areas and municipalities in Eastern Visayas, in the three provinces mentioned, like Leyte, Southern Leyte, and Samar, around 90 to 100% of jackfruit are intended for ripe fruit, while only a small percentage are utilized for vegetable. So we have the major producing areas in Leyte like Armok City, Baybay City, Mahaplag, and Inupacan. So in Southern Leyte, only Sugod is the major producing area. Next, please. So, okay, those are as far as the fresh fruit is concerned. Okay, so for the processed jackfruit, 10% of the total volume of jackfruit goes to the processing. So in a form of either dehydrated jackfruit, vacuum fried jackfruit, jackfruit jams and marmalade, and of course jackfruit tarts. Okay, next please. Next please, sir. Okay, for processed jackfruit, vacuum fried and dehydrated jackfruit processors are located in Leyte province. These two forms are traded only within the region. So parang we still don't, actually this has great potential because visitors from other regions usually ask for this vacuum fried and dehydrated jackfruit. So these two forms are traded only within the region, aside from the instances of national trade fairs wherein our division will bring this product to participate in the trade fairs in Manila and ordered purchases. So each market outlets are direct from display area of processing centers, techno marts, pasalubong centers. The pasalubong centers here means the ones usually when you buy gifts for your loved ones when you go back home. So that's what we term as pasalubong centers. You can also see it and found it in airports and in LGU offices, the local government unit offices. So around 20% of these processed products are reserved by the respective local government units to be used as tokens and as part of the promotion of the product. The processor buyers of the region's jackfruit are in Pampanga, that's in Region 3, in Cebu, Region 7. Used of stocks in making langka pastillas, processing langka pastillas and dehydrated jackfruit, respectively. These are then marketed both locally and internationally. I will be presenting to you two value chain map, both for the fresh jackfruit and the processed jackfruit. As you can see, we have the input and in the stages of input provision, production, trading, and of course to the final sale. So we have the functions, the operations, and the enablers. So for the input provision, normally this is being responded by the private sector. So usually in the input provision, there is production and distribution of planting materials. So it is one of the identified interventions by our commodity programs, the High Value Commercial Crops Development Program. So they are the ones providing high quality variety of jackfruit seedlings to the interested farmers. Then of course, in some cases, especially if we are presenting a techno demo, on top of the planting materials, fertilizers and biocontrol agents are also being provided by the program and also the tools. So of course, for the operations, normally it's being intervened to our farmers, to farmers associations, to nursery operators, to aggregate supplies and shops, and the vermicomposting facilities. Of course, in this case, we have the organic agriculture program who are distributing vermicomposting facilities to our qualified farmers. So in this case, the qualified farmers are also selling the vermicast to our farmers who are participants of this jackfruit production. Okay, then the number one enablers for this particular activity is of course the Department of Agriculture, the regional offices and the provincial offices, which is also already devolved. Then there is also a very important role agricultural extension workers we have that are already devolved with the local government units. The VSU has their role also in the development of various technologies that is related to the development of jackfruit. We have the ATI, the Agricultural Training Institute, that is the one in charge in the training of our farmers, target farmers and farmers association. Then of course the ACR. Then the Philippine Coconut Authority, they use actually the jackfruit seedlings as what's this? Parang they are planting jackfruit in between coconut trees. Okay, then the DNR, usually when they go into distribution of planting materials, they usually coordinate with the Department of Agriculture for the provision of jackfruit seedlings. So in the production aspect, of course, is the farmers. Then, of course, in the trading is the consolidation. Sir, as you can see in Eastern Visayas, we do not have vast tracts of lands that are contiguous. That is why, very important, the fragmented areas we have that are suitable for jackfruit plantation is also being considered. Then, of course, in the process of harvesting, there will be a consolidator of all those jackfruit that are planted in the fragmented areas in the locality. So it's being sold as it's being done by the wholesaler. In the harvesting, there are wholesalers and consolidators, and of course, usually in the market, there are lots of retailers that are selling jackfruit. So we also have farmer traders as one of those who are into the marketing of jackfruit. So especially in the processing side, of course, the Department of Trade and Industry, because there is an emerging numbers of processors for jackfruit. They also connect with us actively, proactively for the identified fruit-bearing jackfruit so that their processors can buy from it and process it into what is needed in the local market and in the international market. So next, please. For the value chain map of processed jackfruit, of course, there is an additional layer. We have the input providers, we have production stage, consolidation, processing, distribution, until it reaches the final sale. So for consumption and of course to end consumers. So along this chain, there are we are actually, sir, encouraging our farmers to go into processing, not just selling fresh jackfruit or jackfruit as a whole, but we also encourage them to go into processing for additional income for their families and for their for the associations. Next, please. So these are the jackfruit planting material distributions to support the goal in increasing plant material inventory. Actually, this covers 2014 up to 2021. So as you can see, 64% of our planting materials, quality planting materials distributed to our qualified farmers is in Leyte. So of course, if you can see the map, actually Leyte comprises around 43 local government units from the 143 LGUs we have for Region 8. So it's being followed by Samar, Eastern Samar, Northern Samar, Southern Leyte, and of course Biliran. So those are the provinces that comprises the Eastern Visayas region. Okay, next please. So this is the competitiveness direction of the jackfruit industry. We have to expand the local capacity to produce quality grafted planting materials because we have to really improve the production base planted to quality jackfruit, specifically the Iviarc sweet variety. So of course, in the expansion, we have lots of activity there. We conduct capacity building to the farmers, to the associations. There is also training of trainers and accreditation for nursery propagators. And of course, the strengthening of existing nurseries, the ones that are producing quality planting materials for jackfruit. So we have to strengthen supply base of fertilizers and other inputs with the with the war between Russia, the two countries that are at war presently, actually the fertilizers we have, inorganic fertilizers here in the Philippines, has tripled. The cost per bag has tripled because of that. Basically, the inorganic fertilizers we have are petro-based fertilizers. So that is why we, because of that situation, we encourage the adoption of the balanced fertilization strategy. It is an active, it's already a commercialized, and of course, technology that we are encouraging our farmers to adapt. So this balanced fertilization strategy actually is a combination of inorganic fertilizer and organic fertilizer. So across commodities being covered by the program, we have the rice, we have the corn, and of course we have the HVCDP. We are encouraging our farmers to go into balanced fertilization strategy rather than purely making use of only inorganic fertilizer because of its prohibitive cost. So of course, it goes without saying that for every interventions ng DA which is being directed to our farmers in the region, there is also a need for us to conduct capacity building of farmers on jackfruit production technologies. We do have lots of production technologies that can really help in the improvement and in the significant increase of the productivity levels of jackfruit. Then normally our farmers here in the Philippines, they usually adopt the technology if they see the technology with their own two eyes. That is why there is always, we always establish model farms as learning sites and distribution of the IEC materials. This is what we usually do for them to really see that that technology really works, and for them to see with their own two eyes that the package of technologies that is being applied in the model farms really matters, and it really increase the production and productivity of the jackfruit. Then of course, sir, we are often visited by typhoon because we are along the eastern seaboard of the Philippines. So Eastern Visayas is often visited by typhoon. In fact, the typhoon that visited the Philippines last December, Typhoon Odette, really damaged a lot of planting material, existing jackfruit plantation in southern Leyte. So that is why there is a need for us to rehabilitate the damaged farms. Next, please. Next, please. Okay. So, partnership with government agencies like the Philippine Coconut Authority, we have the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and of course, we have the Department of Agrarian Reform, and of course, the private sector to unify efforts for jackfruit. So partnership with these agencies to include the private sector is also a must for us to really develop the jackfruit industry here in our region. Then of course, continued conduct of the research and development for production. Just like based on my observations in the earlier resource speaker we have for this webinar, actually, your exposure is on the research. Actually, my exposure is more on production and of course marketing. So there is always, it's being actually done by the research division of the DA. The continued conduct of the research and development for the production, processing, and of course dissemination of results after these are proven and tested. So basically, the interventions of the Department of Agriculture is geared towards farmer associations and cooperatives. That is why there is a need for us, and it's an ongoing activity of the DA in partnership with our local government units to strengthen associations for better access to support services and information. Then if we are talking of the farm to the market, there is always that intervention of the government to upgrade and establish farm to market roads. Then improvement of trading facilities. Okay, so okay. Development of local capacity of processors. This issue usually in close coordination with the Department of Trade and Industry. Okay, so improvement of processing infrastructure through the fabrication of machines, construction of FDA compliant facilities, and installation of a three-phase power. Normally, the machineries that we have needs a three-phase power. This is the one that is being the term for that. Ano yung term sa kuan? Yung mga three-phase na mga transformers, sir. Transformers. Sorry. Okay, so there's also a constant improvement of the product quality through upgraded packaging, longer perishability, and of course, standardized products and quality control. We also would like, as a for competitive direction, creation of a private sector-led industry organization. The private sector we have in the Philippines has a very big role for us to be more competitive. So any activities that will lead to expand and of course respond to the market here locally and internationally, we would like to create a private sector to be in the front line in the development and of course in the expansion of our jackfruit industry here in the Philippines. Okay, so that's all that I can share with you. Thank you for listening.